If not, then we can have you come back up for some closing comments if you'd like. Any members of the public like to speak on this issue? Good evening. Thanks for driving up from Navarre.
Yeah, how y'all doing today? My name is James Calkins, 8137 4th Street. I'm a leaseholder. It is my opinion that we need to do everything we can to help small business. These guys are a small business. They've been here 4 years. They're contributing to the community. And I drive by there every single day. And every single day, the parking lot is empty. People walk. They're walking. It's foot traffic. It's not a nuisance. It's not a problem. And I was at a leaseholders meeting last Saturday. And from what I gathered, it was around about 50% of the leaseholders were in support of their operation. So just wanted to throw that out there. I hope you all make a decision in support of small business and support these people. We need more operations like this. This brings in more revenue for the county, and it's good for business. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Calkins. Would anyone else like to comment on this matter? Okay. In looking at this, since it's in District 4, I'm going to agree with the zoning board recommendation, and I see no special circumstances that exist that would allow us to continue to add, whether it be additional utility structures there or auxiliary structures there on that site. I know that you guys have operated there for quite some time. I jog by that area all the time. I feel like the existing operation, it has been allowed. It's almost as if it's grandfathered in to some degree with what has gone on in the past, but this request here it's not something that I can see any special circumstances existing that would allow me to turn over the appeal of the zoning board on this matter. So I'm going to make a motion to deny the appeal. Make that motion without objection.
Mr. Chairman, just a
Commissioner
clarification. They've been operating there for 4 years? 7 years? Will this action of denying the parking, the variance on the parking requirement result in a change to their operations?
If they can't meet the parking requirements, it's possible. But Mr. Schumack just made a comment that they could add parking.
They've been operating like this for 7 years, though. So I would.
The snow cone shack has not been there 7 years.
This is the 3rd year for the shack.
So you've been, the snow cone shack's been there for 3 years.
This was a code compliance case, which is the reason it came back here.
Has it been brought into compliance at this point?
It would require the variance to bring him into compliance. We also would be looking to get a sublease from these folks since we don't have that either.
Okay. There also is a building code compliance case as well, Commissioner Lynchard, and I understand where you're coming from on this too, man. The first code compliance case was sign related, but it was March of 2015. That has gone on for quite some time. Now we have a building code one as well, plus the auxiliary structure that's been added. There are other places on the island where it may be an opportunity for this business to apply to the county to operate as well. And there's been, I said this one is just one that I feel like it's pretty difficult to overturn that appeal. I am in favor of number 4, the other item that runs concurrently with this, of having that consistent zoning. But, would you, was there an objection there, Commissioner Lynchard, or, okay. And here again, we have a motion without objection to deny the appeal.
Thank you.
Commissioner Parker?
I'd just like to make a comment, and these are the, I think, some of the hardest decisions we have to make up here, and I appreciate the moment. I know sometimes I get to talking on these, but it's been there 3 years, and I've only been to Navarre Beach a couple times within the last year, actually on the beach, and I think it kind of blends in, and from what I mean, I wasn't there during peak time on a weekend. I'm relying real heavily on the district commissioner. Obviously, I think has probably researched it a lot more than me, and I tell you, kind of hindsight, I would have loved to have called the owner of the new hotel and sort of got their opinion, because according to the paperwork, they just made a $35 million investment. I guess I just go on record saying that the hard part about this is I'm absolutely want to support small business. I mean, this is the epitome of the entrepreneurial spirit. But also, I guess the concern is when I think about that term of, and I appreciate you giving me a minute just to kind of work through these as I speak, but when I think about the term of not so much right now or 5 years, but in 20 years, and what do we want to leave, I think all of us want to hopefully make Navarre Beach better, and I think part of that's going to be some more development. And you know, I've heard over and over, not a whole ton, but I mean, people say, hey, we want more restaurants and things to do. But I think about the adjoining property owners are probably pretty concerned about their property values too. You know, rightfully so. If I had a, I think the question that I start looking into is, Commissioner had a good point. If the business wasn't already there, you know, I think we're kind of looking at me. I feel like it sort of had that grandfather clause, because I'm thinking, well, it's been there 3 years. But if it wasn't already there, I can't see how I would support it, just because of the fact that it's not what I wouldn't want one on every lot, you know, and just the structure itself. I mean, I love the business. And the reason this one tears me up is because I know it's entrepreneurial, and I haven't heard of a lot of problem. I've heard people ask me to deny it because there's not enough parking for safe conditions. But I mean, I've talked to several people, and even folks tonight, you know, haven't really said that that's a problem. But just the part that makes it tough is I know it's not necessarily this, but I don't want to create a pattern that. So I'm kind of, just before I vote, making those comments and kind of, Mr. Chairman, leaning on you. Is that part of maybe why you're leaning, and I respectfully sort of, I guess, and questioning the guidance on, is that maybe one of the big things is we just don't want to, we're trying to protect sort of the view of the beach? I mean, I'm leaning on you here because this is your district, but like I said, it's hard because you don't want to be the fellow to not support the business.
I support small business. I'm a small business owner. I feel as though I've made the comments on this matter. I don't think that operating a business out of compliance with the code for an extended period of time should somehow allow you, you know, because they haven't been, nobody's complained to this point, or whatever the reason is. I'm trying to keep the conversations here specifically about this request that's in front of us, and not have it expand into larger issues about the future of Navarre Beach and the look, and you know, contacting the hotel and see how they feel about it and things of that nature. I just got to try to stay locked in on this request that's in front of us. And the one that's here, We've got a 5-2 vote to denial. I can't see any special circumstances that exist that would allow me to not only go against the recommendation of the zoning board, but to go against the land development code. We have 2 code compliance cases that have been ongoing with this specific property, one that's mentioned in the backup and one that does not go into the detail with the building side of things. This is one that said, I'm a supporter of small business, but as a supporter of small business, I also have to try my best to make sure that we're providing a level playing field. And I can't see where overturning the appeal and the decision of the zoning board on this matter would be consistent with that. So I don't know if that helps you, Commissioner Parker, in any way, but like I said, I'm ready to move the item.
I appreciate it, and for anybody in the audience that kind of thinks we look like idiots, you know, we're not allowed with the sunshine law to talk about this ahead of time, and so this is the first time we're allowed to talk about it, and I appreciate Commissioner Williamson's opinion, because this is his district. Like you said, he's there every day, so I appreciate the comments, and just kind of, I guess, a save face with some of you. I can imagine how this sort of looks funny with me questioning it, but you know, we are talking about affecting folks' lives and livelihoods, so that's why I just wanted to hear that, and I appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Okay? Yes, ma'am. Sure.
I'm not sure what the right words are. I understand and I respect where all of you are coming from. We will do and comply with anything asked of you to fix parking if that is what has to be done. But please, to lose the snow shack where everybody comes, and I am supported very strongly by the Marriott. I was approached 2 years ago by the head director right underneath Marilyn, who said she is all in favor of me. And I'm going to be going into every unit of their hotels, 130 units, with my coupons to bring them over to say we do have something to offer this hotel. She has kept it small and quaint, and it's beautiful, but she also has respected what I have done, and her people have somewhere to go after they have dinner at her restaurant and can take their children for a walk and have a snow cone or a frozen sorbet and have the family things that are so gone. Telephones, technology, they get to communicate with their children. They sit at a picnic table. It would be a disservice to the beach. It would be a disservice to the people who come year after year and thank me. And I'm sorry if things were handled wrong, and I'm sorry I got sick and things fell through the crack, but I'm not 100% to blame here either. I wasn't aware of what I had to do or didn't have to do. I started with a snow shack out there that was just built out of sticks. And the things that I had to follow, I followed everything. Nobody ever said a word. And all I wanted to do was make it prettier, classier, to stand out, for people to be able to say, that's something to be proud of. If I could show you the picture on my wall of what I started with, that people were grateful then, to me, as I look back, it's cherished. To someone else, they may say, oh my gosh, what an eyesore. But to see where I've come with that little tiny stand to something that is so beautiful, and to hear for my very first time at the meeting, the leaseholders meeting, I've never been to one before, to what the people didn't even have anything really to say other than, we're not going to discuss this, just no. They're mad at what's going on down at Remax, and they're taking it out on me, is what the whole conversation ended up being. And I said, why are you mad at me? Why am I being punished for what's happening somewhere else? I was here first. I have had that gift shop for 7 years. People come to see me every year. I don't know what they would do or where they would go in the evening time with children. Late at night, you can't take them to the pier. You can't take them to Juana's. In the summer, I'm keeping it open till 9, 10 o'clock at night. They can come there and walk. What happened to people communicating and holding hands and talking with their children? That is what I offer. And to take that away would be such a crying shame. And I would cry, and I think many people would cry with me. And I can promise you, if it's time that you need, I will go to Marilyn myself to tell you she's proud of what I've done, and her guests are grateful for me. I ask you to please don't throw the gavel down and stop something that's so great. And it is. And I've worked hard, and I've been sick. That was out of my control. I wasn't aware of the things that I had to do. I didn't go out of my way to break any rules or do anything I didn't know I had to do or didn't do. Did it keep falling through the cracks? Yes. Was I addressed several times? Yes. But never anything came from it. It just kept laying around. We're here now. I'm standing in front of you, and I'm begging you with my heart and my soul. I'm the last thing left out there that doesn't have alcohol. There's children. We are the last family-orientated beach, as far as I'm concerned. Where else are they going to take their kids? What about the children? It's important to me. That's my heart and my soul, is in that shop and in that hut. And as God is my witness, I would never, to this day, knowing what I know, ever do anything to upset you or hurt you or do something wrong, because I didn't know that I was even doing anything wrong except just trying to make it better. My shack was crummy and people came. Now look how pretty I have it. It's a beautiful building, built to code. It's a safe haven. They feel safe there. I don't have bands till midnight. I don't have the dancing and the screaming and the yelling. It's quiet. It's peaceful. And I'm fighting for the people. Somebody has to fight for the people. Where would you take your child? Please, I beg you to reconsider. I'm not asking you to do something horrible. I'm saying help us help the beach. You guys need me.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Commissioner Parker?
Thank you.
We're going to move now to board discussion.
Can I say just one other thing?
Go right ahead.
Look, we have the ability, I'm Tom Schumack, I'm also the president of the Summer Sands Condominium Association, which runs that building. We could most likely comply with the extra 3 parking places, but we're talking about having to strip the whole place down, redesign it, and put it in there, and it's not necessary. If you would even just approve maybe 1 or 2 extra parking places, it would make it a little easier on us to comply with it. We will comply with the requirements, of the planning board, if that's what's necessary. But I mean, it's just an exercise in compliance, not necessarily something that's necessary.
And I appreciate your comments. That's not the matter or the decision that's before us today. James, if you would.
Yeah, I'd like to say that you all have the opportunity right now to show that you all are in support of small business. You know, actions speak louder than words. And right now we have a lady right here, and this lady over here just said that there's a possibility that by making the decision to not approve this can widely affect her business. So that will actually harm people on Navarre Beach that use her operation. We're a family destination. We're a place for families. Those are the kinds of things we need in Navarre Beach, family destinations. And so I urgently encourage y'all to please approve this. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. The notion that by the time you get decisions here, all the easy decisions are gone. I had a gentleman that was in operation selling snow cones at the pier last year. And he'd been in operation for a few months, and the county became aware of that individual operating. Great small business owner, very successful. Multiple locations, started from scratch. It's the same passion he talked about his business. I kept his letter. quite long, where he laid out all the frustrations because it was decided that he did not have a pre-approved sublease agreement through the pier. In other words, he was operating illegally and did not have permission to operate where he was operating. Now, it may not be an identical situation, but it's pretty close. And what would you have me tell that small business owner that I have picked one over another? This has nothing to do with me being not pro-business or pro-small business. I am pro-small business. I am a small business owner. Have been signing the front of paychecks now for the better part of 14 years. I know what it's like to make payroll. I know what it's like to struggle to pay bills. I know what it's like to struggle to pay rent. I know what it's like to struggle, period. Nobody, certainly not myself, I can't speak for my fellow commissioners, but I'm not, this is nothing to do with, this is not a personal decision. This is a decision related to this specific appeal that's before us today. And I cannot, being pro-small business, find any special circumstances that exist that would allow me to reverse the denial of the zoning board and their recommendation. It's not an easy decision, but I just try to do, I think as we all do, we try to do the best we can with the information we have and make the best decision that we can. And that's what I'm trying to do here. Have a motion on the floor without objection.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Lynch.
I'll object. They would still have to meet any building code or life safety requirements. Obviously, we can't waive those. This strictly goes to variance to reduce the parking requirement from 3 parking spaces to 0 parking spaces. So I will object to the motion on the floor and move to grant the appeal. Ask for a second.
So your motion would be to grant the appeal and to allow operations to continue, as well as, would that include the auxiliary structure that's in sight, and basically that no parking spaces would be required for this additional use? So if somebody gets injured pulling cars
motion,
in and out
Mr.
of that
Chairman.
parking lot to go get a snow cone, and because we don't have any parking, that, what do we say, Commissioner Lynchard, to the next applicant that wants to have a, a commercial enterprise, and they say, well, look, we don't need any parking either. We'll just do walk-up traffic only. And, I mean, I just feel it sets a dangerous precedent. We have a properly formatted motion. And
Yes,
will there be a second?
Yeah, staff, a question. The building itself, for clarification, the outbuilding, where are we at on it? I mean, is it compliant, not compliant? I don't.
As far as...
Outside of the parking spaces, outside of, hey, I'm running a business with no parking, just the structure itself, where are we at on that?
They will have to meet building codes, and I do not know where they're at as far as whether they meet the building code requirements for commercial building. They did get variances to meet the setbacks.
Again, if you'll give me the opportunity just to address my 2 fellow board members. I appreciate, again, this is me to Commissioner Williamson, I appreciate that story because I'm reminded of the hardest decision that I think I've ever had to make on this board was at one of these meetings, and we watched Curtis Peden and his son out there apply for the use of a fishing pier on property that he already bought. I think he paid about $90,000. It was zoned HCD, and he thought he'd be able to use his boat, and we didn't allow it. And he gave me my first haircut, as well as my children's first haircut, and that was the most gut-wrenching decision I've ever had to make. And basically, the only thing that makes this one different, in my mind, even though, like Commissioner Williams said, it's not the exact thing, is if the building wasn't already there. I feel like that's where my heartstrings are being pulled, is because it's there. You know, but I guess this is me. They may not even respond because sometimes I get to talking to them, but you know, where I envision is like, you know, where's the most valuable land in this area? I would say Walton County, 30A area. And I think, you know, and I would think they probably had to make, just like Gulf Breeze right now is doing, with basically denying to what feasibility they can. Some businesses they don't feel would be to the best interest of their county. But anyway, what I get at is trying to think, if every property down the boulevard, and I'm kind of with Commissioner Williamson, if I start approving one, I always say this, I can't take responsibility for what happened before I sat in this seat 6 months ago, but is it what we want our Navarre Beach to be? You know, we're spending $750,000 on advertising to get people here, and people need services like you have. But, you know, a lot of people are spending $500,000 plus on buying houses there, and at what point do we pick and choose or cut it off? Commissioner Williamson shared his story. Well, I'm sharing with mine. You know, now every time I go into the barbershop, I got to think, well, we turned him down. Again, it wasn't already there. He didn't, you know, and he could have. He probably could have got up and going an operation, and then a neighbor complained, and we'd be back to the, you know, who knows, maybe it would have been a different outcome, because it's definitely harder to, I guess I'm going to look at like taking ice cream away from my kid once they're eating it versus just telling them no and not going to the store. And so I just share this with you because, like I said, I know the decisions we're making are impacting your lives, and it's not an easy decision. So I think for me, even though Commissioner Williams said it's not so much the issue, I think for me is what do we want our beach to look like long term? And I'm kind of asking you, are there any other structures like this through there, Commissioner Williamson? I only ask you because I know you're a lot more familiar with the beach than me.
Sam, I don't know if I can help you get to where you're trying to get to.
I think you follow where I'm at on.
Actually, I'll be honest with you, I don't.
Are there any other portable buildings along the strip?
I'm not here to comment on other businesses that are here. We've been on this item for a considerable amount of time. We have other folks here that are here for other items. Mr. Calkins, I've allowed you to speak on a couple of different occasions. If you want to come forward, but please be brief.
I just want to answer his questions. There are other portable buildings, and they're actually on county-owned land, which is the RE/MAX thing, and I support them also. But that's, you have a private facility, and then you have a county-owned facility that has portable buildings all over it. So, in my opinion, yeah, I think they're private, there's a county-owned building, and so, thank you.
Everybody out there that's in commercial operation has to have a commercial sublease. Those folks that are at the Herring property have subleases, and these folks would need to have one too. So, and they don't have those. They don't have it at the current time.
With this commercial lease, do we receive 5% of the sales of this as we do for other operations on the beach?
The subleases require that. Yes, sir.
So the applicant has been submitting their 5% of sales.
They do not have one at this point.
They don't have one.
That's correct.
It's another item that I was not going to bring up, but this has we've continued to move along here. There's another competitive advantage that one business has over another. One is paying 5% and another one is not for a like use. And, you know, bottom line, I respect and value both of you gentlemen, and I know you have a decision to make, and I'm sure that I know you both to be folks that think out your decision, and you make them, you have your own reasons, and I respect that. And I would ask that you respect mine, and I would think that you do. So at this point, we have a job to do, and we have a properly formatted motion. I'm going to give it a couple more seconds here. Right now, the motion would die for lack of a second. We have a motion on the floor. That motion has died for lack of a second. I would move to deny the appeal. I would make that motion and ask for a second. Commissioner Parker, we have to go either one way or the other, sir. Either you're going to be voting with Commissioner Lynchard's recommendation, and we'll have to have the motion come forward again, or you're going to second the motion that I have on the floor. Or it's going to be a long night.
I know, I was just hoping y'all would let me give it. You know, out of respect of the fact that you're down there, and I trust that you have a much better pulse on your district than I do. That's why we're required to live there and constituents go there. I will second your motion.
We have a properly formatted motion and a second. Discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed? Let the record show that Commissioner Williamson and Commissioner Parker voted to deny the appeal, and Commissioner Lynchard voted in opposition. Now take up item number 4, which is a like item by the same applicant. Item number 4 is 2017-R-015. This is a change in the future land use. Currently, the property is zoned commercial. Is that correct, staff?
That is correct.
It is zoned commercial. It is located within the Navarre Beach Commercial District, and the proposed future land use had Navarre Beach high-density residential. This proposed future land use change would make this property, would bring it into consistency to where the current usage would match the future land use. I would move approval of, the zoning board recommended approval of 6-1 on this item. We did not have anyone here to speak in opposition to this item. I would move approval of this request to change the future land use to Navarre Beach Commercial. I would do so without objection. Hearing no objection, that item is approved.